Hey guys, welcome to the Airsoft Podcast. I'm FluffyBoy32 with my co-host Will from BBSlingerTV.
Yeah, what's up, guys?
And we got our guest, AirsoftGeek, also known as the DIY camera guy.
Hi guys.
And
Yeah, so we got everybody on, and let's go ahead and hit on to the topics. Will, I know Will's dying to get a topic going here, so...
okay. Well, I know Michael owns a GoPro, right?
Yes.
I just want. What do you guys think about Contour versus GoPro?
And me and Will kind of already discussed this a little bit when he asked it, but I don't know. I want to get your side of it.
My opinion is I've never seen a GoPro go bad. Matter of fact, we dropped one out of the back of a moving van shooting some skateboarders, and about 30 miles an hour, and it was still recording when we picked it up.
Wow.
I've seen an awful lot of contours go down.
I've seen, there was recently, or it may have been about a year ago, when the 8 Hero 2s came out and everything, there was a guy that lost his Hero 2 off of his board when he was surfing, and it was like 2 or 3 months later, he had put out like a Craigslist ad and all this other ads all over the shore, and, someone brought it back. It was covered in like seaweed. It had a bunch of algae all over it. It looked really nasty, but it actually recorded all the footage, and It looked really crystal clear, and it was at the bottom of the well, not technically the bottom of the ocean, but it was at the bottom of where he was surfing, which that just shows you how much pressure it can withstand. I mean, that's...
And the new Hero 3 is pretty amazing, really.
Now, like, I want to ask this about the Hero 3. Now, I've looked at the specs, I've looked at everything, but is there really a I know there's a difference between the Black Edition and the old Hero 2s, but is there a difference between the White Edition and the Hero 2s?
The White Edition, I think, has a little bit better image. For me, though, if you're gonna buy one now, it's either a Black Edition Hero 3 or a Hero 2, the older ones, because they're going to be a lot less expensive.
Yeah, because I was looking at that, because you can pick up a Hero 2 now for about like $150 if you know where to look, and that's an amazing deal for the
I mean, really, that's a great price for those.
But I was looking at the specs and everything, the only real difference I'm seeing between, I mean, it almost looks like they just dropped the same sensor and everything into the White Edition Hero 3, and maybe did a little tweaking and everything, but I haven't really, I've looked at them side by side, I can't really tell a difference. The Black Edition, however, you can tell a huge difference. It's out there on its own. It's basically the equivalent of the original HD versus the HD2. This is like the Black Edition versus the Hero 2. I mean, it's a huge noticeable difference.
And a lot of people are talking about, oh my god, it shoots 4K, and it does. But shooting 4K for most people is going to be, why? Although it gives you some room to zoom in, and get into the footage a little bit. But for me, it's at 1080p video that's at 60 frames.
Yeah, the 60 frames per second is a huge bit. That's one of the reasons I kind of held off of the HD2 on the Hero 2, only because of the 60 frames per second. I don't mind the 60 frames per second on 720p, because pretty much, and they've done statistics on this, pretty much you can't really tell a difference between 720 and 1080p to most regular people because of their internet connection.
Yeah.
Now, if you have a fast internet connection, like I have a fast internet connection, and I can sit here and watch 720 and 1080 and tell a huge complete difference. But if you don't have that fast of internet, then you're not going to tell a difference. So you might as well shoot 720.
Until recently, I posted a lot of my stuff at 720, just because I've got some feedback from some people that they liked my videos because it didn't keep buffering all the time.
Yeah, and what I normally do, and I wish YouTube would do this, is they have the setting to go into your settings to where whenever you're playing in feedback and if you go to full screen, it goes to HD resolution. I wish that you could change the settings so that you could do just 720 instead of a 1080.
Yeah.
Because I sometimes, like if I have someone else in the house doing something on the computer, watching Netflix or something, that are really internet intensive things, I can't watch 1080. But if everybody's gone, I can watch 1080 all day and be happy as can be. But But as far as the GoPro / Contour, but what do you think about the new Contours? What are your thoughts on those?
I haven't even really looked at the new Contours much. The two cameras that kind of piqued my interest was the black GoPro, and kind of interested in seeing how Sony did with their Sony Action Cam.
Yeah,
because that one also does 60 frames.
The only problem about those, and I actually looked into them, because I was actually looking at getting one. The only problem is apparently, and I don't know if they changed this in a firmware update, but apparently they don't have. Once you get to 60 frames, because it does like 60 frames and 120 frames or something like that, so you can do slow-mo. Once you get to 60 frames, and this is kind of weird, there's no sound. And is that for 60 frames too, or is that just 120?
I'm not sure if it's for 60 frames, but that wouldn't be a big deal for me because I would probably be shooting dual system like I normally do anyway. But yeah, I do see how it would be a problem for some people.
Yeah, I mean, that would be a problem for a lot of people, especially if you're strapping it to a helmet and going with it. Then, yeah, I mean, I can see that as a problem. But most people throw some sound over it or something.
Yeah.
But as far the way I put it is, GoPro's still the king of point of view cameras. I mean, I don't see that changing anytime soon unless someone comes out with something. But Sony really did a pretty good job on theirs. Besides a few things I'm not too crazy about. If they fix that thing with the sound for 60 frames per second, then yeah, they got a good camera. And I could see them beating out Contour, because I've seen Contour footage and I just don't like it. It's just not good to me.
Yeah, they're not quite as vibrant. One thing that's a benefit and a drawback with the GoPro is they bump the chroma up to make a really vibrant image.
Yeah.
But if you're using it in a mixed environment for doing filmmaking or something like that, and you want to do color correction on it, bumping your chroma up like that makes you lose chroma data.
Yeah.
So now they have this new codec, and you can load some firmware into the GoPro. I'm not sure if they have it done yet for the GoPro Hero 3. Probably will be pretty soon, if not. But it allows you to take your contrast and kind of make everything grayed out and ugly looking, which is what you want for filmmaking. You want it the largest amount of data available.
Yeah.
So looking at the footage, it would look ugly. Like if I shoot, a scene for a narrative film or something, the footage looks terrible coming out of the camera. It's real grayed out, not a whole lot of color there, but there's a information there. You're not losing detail in the whites and detail in the shadows.
Because that's actually how a lot of the more really expensive professional cameras work. They don't have any of the settings. They don't have. I know you guys probably know him, but Freddie W. He does a lot of. Yeah, Freddie W. He just recently posted when they're on like a beach or something on like a vacation. They posted like the behind the scenes, and they're using a Sony camera that everything that like you do, all your picture, your color, everything is done in post. You just shoot it and then you do everything in post. And is that about what you're kind of doing with the GoPros by doing that kind of update type thing?
I like that new firmware because it leaves it for me in post to make it match my other cameras.
Yeah.
Where the way it was before, until they came out with this new codecs, is the chroma was so vibrant that I couldn't bring that down to match my other cameras. I'd actually have to bump everything else up. And I've run a lot of those little, like Kodak's PlaySport and Playful.
Yeah.
Way wicked cheap, and they're awesome image. I mean, I think they're even better than the GoPro. I bought the Playfuls when they went out of business. I bought 3 of them. They're like $50 a piece for a full HD camera.
Yeah.
Image stabilizer. That's amazing.
Because, as far as point of view cameras that you just strap to your head, the GoPros are the way to go. But like you're saying, if you just want something that's cheap and works, then yeah, the Kodak Playfuls are great. If you can get them anymore. Can you still get them?
Yeah,
you can.
A few places.
On eBay.
the Play Sport right now, I think is probably the best overall one that's available. Image and audio, and it has a macro function in it. So if you're a blogger or something like that, that's a really good camera.
Yeah, because I know flips used to be really popular, and then once they went out of business, I don't really see those anymore.
Yeah, I have one.
Yeah, I have one of the original old ones. I'm thinking about using it in like a video and like shooting it or something. It'd be kind of interesting footage.
But one nice thing about them is they have a screen so you can actually frame your shot. Although the new, like if you got a GoPro Black Edition, you're going to have Wi-Fi on there. So if you have like an iOS or a smartphone or something, you can just run an app that actually goes straight out to the Wi-Fi. And you can put it on your helmet and then look at your screen on your iOS.
Yeah. And
Can you do that with the, like the new contours?
You can do it with the contours, but I'm not exactly sure about their app. The app's either free or it's like $1 or something. I don't even remember. But
still, it's worth it. You can see your footage on your iPhone.
Yeah, and I mean, it works, but I don't know. Personally, to me, it's functionality over features. I'd rather see something that has good quality. I mean, the features are nice, and Contour does have a few extra features that are nice, like the alignment thing with the lasers and everything. That's nice. But
that's why I like Contour better than GoPro.
But I personally prefer the image quality over some lasers. I really don't care about the lasers.
I have been bitten a few times. The one thing about the GoPro I don't like is it's really hard. It's easy for it to go back into camera mode. And I had one day, you guys probably know exactly what I'm talking about. But I wasn't planning on shooting video that day. And I went out and I'm like, you know what, I'll just throw a camera on my gun and one on my head. And actually I had two on my gun and one on my head. But I hadn't planned on shooting that day, so I didn't go through my normal routine of, formatting everything and charging all the batteries and all that. So I take off, go. We take off. And part of the way through, one of the cameras on the gun makes a beep, and I take a look at it, and the memory card was full. I was like, whatever, it wasn't a big deal. And then a little bit later, I run down the ridge. I'm kicking ass, of course. Usually don't, but, this day I was. And I get up there, and the battery dies on the second camera. And then it's like right at the end of the game, and I am the last guy on my team. And it started off with about 40 guys on each side. And I'm the last guy on my team, and there's 3 guys on the other side. And I'm in the tower, and I jump out of the back of the tower, and I just come in wide when they don't realize that I had moved, because I fired, and I was going in a cadence, fire, come down, come up in another area and fire. As soon as I went down, I jumped out the back of it, ran around, took out one guy. He saw me going around. I shot him. And then the other guys were kind of just basically camping behind this cover, and I just laid automatic fire on it, came up on it, and then right at the last minute I stopped shooting and came around the corner and went safety. They're both out. The whole Deadpool sitting there watching all this action unfold. And they're all like, oh my God, that's going to make an awesome video. And it's like, yeah. I'm all excited and stuff, and I take my GoPro off my head. It hits
nice.
Camera mode, not camcorder mode. So when I the button that went bleep, that means I took one photo at the beginning of the day. I have no GoPro footage, and then my other 2 cameras died before this awesome action.
Dang.
This is
nice.
Video play off. Every time I have video, I have really hard, going out there and getting it done. It's just the way it is, I guess. If you're shooting video, you got everybody in the world watching you, you're gonna suck.
Yeah, no, it's like, and that's happened with me. It's like the moment, and some people will know this when I'm doing like for sale videos and stuff. I'll just bust out my camera and do something. Before that, I won't be stuttering. I won't be doing anything. Like right now, I'm not stuttering or anything. But as soon as I turn that camera on, 150 to 50. I would just start stuttering, doing all this stuff, breathing heavy, all this crazy stuff. I don't know. It's like as soon as the camera comes out, you start acting really weird.
Just feel comfortable in front of the camera when you're doing your vlogs and stuff.
I guess you just gotta get used to it. I mean, I've gotten better about it, but I got a long ways to go. I mean,
I make so many mistakes, and John from Team SSO came up one day, or Airsoft St. Louis now, I guess.
Yeah.
Like, I said something about it took me like an hour and a half to record something. And he's like, oh, it's a good thing to know that I'm not the only one that sucks in front of the camera.
Oh, yeah.
So natural in front of it. He's been doing it a lot longer than I have.
Yeah, I mean, and if you see him, and he's even said it, I mean, you'll watch some of his videos, and he's all happy, and going crazy and everything, and really out there, but then he'll even tell you, he said, if you really get to know me, I'm a really quiet person. I'm not as outgoing as I am in my videos. And that's kind of the way I am, too. I'm really quiet. I'm not very outgoing or anything, but I'll get on a Skype call and talk for hours. And I don't know. It's just the way I am.
Yeah.
But I don't know how we transitioned from Contour to talking about social stuff, but... but I will say one thing about the Contour, though. When the Contour and the GoPro came out, because they're always competing with each other, and you know how Contour, they'll... when they post their video, they'll kind of do a little color correction, try to make it a little better and everything. Most of the time, they'll shoot it completely raw. They won't do anything to it. But the recent one, you can tell they did a little color correction to it. But just watching those side by side, I put those up on my monitors and just put them both right side by side with each other, put them at 1080 and ran them right next to each other. You can tell a considerable difference between the GoPro and the Contour. And if I pulled up the HD Hero 2 trailer, it's the same thing. You can still tell the HD Hero 2 is still a little better than the new Contours. But I will give low light capability to the Contours. They do have a little bit better of low light. But I don't think they have better...
They have better low light than the 2.
Who?
The Hero 3 Black.
Yeah, yeah.
It's supposed to be more low.
Yeah, the Hero 3s have... I mean, the Hero 3 period is just a good, all-around good camera. But I'm just saying, as far as, like, affordability and everything, between the Contours and the HD Hero 2s, I think the Hero 2 just wins in that sense. It just looks a little bit better. But, I mean, if you're running around and you don't have a person to sit there and turn the GoPro on for you, make sure it's on, all that other stuff, if you're just lone wolfing it and you need lasers to figure out where the heck you're looking, then yeah, go for it. But
I don't think either camera is bad. I think they're both... I mean, to be honest with you, I have a $4,000 camera sitting on the floor right over here that's, 15 years old. They're both better than that.
Yeah, and I mean, there's always going to be some competition. There's always going to be something that's better, but they're not terrible cameras. I mean...
Yeah, I give the edge to GoPro.
Yeah. If you're going like pure comparison, one's a little better than the other. GoPro's going to be better, but also too, it's not as feature packed as maybe the Contour. But I mean, there's always going to be something that one doesn't have, and then you'll probably have Sony step in and go, "Hey, we have everything." I mean, you never know.
I mean, a lot of the big companies are this way, but Sony is got a lot of money. And they can just wait for a little company like GoPro to come and say, okay, I've proved the market. There's a market for these cameras. And then Sony can come in and just, crap load a big chunk of money there and say, okay, how about that?
Yeah, I mean, yeah. And they did the same thing with the 3D.
Yeah, the competition is good for all of us.
Yeah. I mean, I'm going to use this as the Airsoft community, for example. One person will talk bad about another person. The only thing you're doing, though, is just boosting that person's channel. Because, I mean, there's been people that will talk crap about other people. I don't even know who they are, and I'll go and look up their channel. I'm like, man, this guy's got a pretty good channel, and I'll go subscribe to him. I mean, it's... Competition brings the good in some things, in a sense. And in this case, point-of-view cameras can do that, too. I mean, Contour is always going to be keeping up with GoPro. GoPro's always going to be coming up with something, and Sony's going to be coming in with money, going, here's money, we'll take your company.
JVC's got a new action camera out.
Really?
It's the Tachyon one.
Yeah, I've never been really thrilled with Tachyon. I don't know.
They're very muddy images. Out of all of them, I'm not very impressed with those.
Yeah, I've never, like, I saw, like, a few YouTubers put out some stuff with Tachyon, and I was like, oh, wow, that's really small and everything. I was like, this is a really cool camera, and this could be a game changer. And then I saw the footage, and I'm like, ugh, that's not...
I'd say the drift cameras are nice.
Yeah, the drifts are cool also.
Yeah, drifts are pretty cool. They have a pretty good feature.
Pricey for what you're getting also.
Yeah, and then there was also another one. I don't remember the name of it, but it came out, and it was like, it's wired to like a pack that you can sit there and watch all your footage on, and it's completely wired. It has really good audio, and I wouldn't say very, but it's a little bit better than the Heroes before the Hero 3 came out. But it was a little bit better than the Hero, which the Hero 3 probably just trumped that. But it looked really cool, and I was like, man, I want to get one of these. And then I went and looked it up on eBay, and I was like, jeez. It was like, I think $600
yeah,
for it.
Yeah, it sounds like the Sony.
No. This wasn't the Sony. This was
there's a Sony Pro lipstick camera that's a box, and there's a tube on it with a little tiny camera on the end of it. And that's been around for a long time. It used to be about $1,200, and I think it's down to about $600 right now.
Yeah, this was it was a company I've never even heard of, but I don't know, but it looked pretty cool until I saw the price, and I was like, I'll just get a GoPro for that much. I can get 3 GoPros for that much.
Yeah.
So you want to switch up topics and go to something else?
This is Airsoft, right?
Yeah, this is Airsoft. We can talk about other stuff though.
It's not strictly Airsoft.
It's not strictly Airsoft. We're just a podcast that talks about stuff. But I just want to ask you, do any of you shoot real steel? I know, I think I know Geek does, but I don't know about Will.
No.
I think
only
Will's
gun I've shot is a 22.
Will's like the pink elephant in the room.
I'm sorry, Will.
Will, you're just gonna have to sit out for this one. Let the big boys talk.
Swing on by sometime, and we'll introduce you to a lot of armory.
Oh yeah, hey, you come down here in the South. Things are going down. We have guns galore. You take away our guns, and it's not gonna be a good, happy day.
Yeah, the whole family shoots. My wife didn't. She never liked guns until about 6 or 8 months ago, and I kept telling her, I'm like, as particular as you are, and she's like, very meticulous person. I'm like, you would love pistol shooting because it seems fairly easy, but you can take a lifetime learning how to shoot a pistol.
Oh yeah, you can always trigger pull, how to squeeze the trigger and everything.
Yeah, I mean.
But what I was gonna add. Go ahead.
I'm gonna say one thing. I hear this all the time. The difference between trigger discipline and trigger control. Around here, at least, people always say use trigger control. What they mean is use trigger discipline. Keep your finger off that trigger until you're intending to shoot something. But a lot of people say trigger control instead of trigger discipline. And so trigger discipline is you having the physical control over whether your finger's on that trigger and whether you're pulling it.
Yeah.
And trigger control is your trigger pull. You're actually pulling your, however terminology you want to use. But when you pull the trigger on a gun, your trigger control is how well you pull the trigger without interrupting how that gun is pointed. And it seems like a very minute thing, but when you consider the very slight degrees in change, that when you pull a trigger, if you're snatching it, if you're squeezing your grip and you're changing the grip around a little bit, all those little tiny nuances are the things that make your bullet go where it's not supposed to go.
Yeah.
I wrote something one time that on a blog that I've been shooting for shooting pistols for over almost 30 years now. And I'm still working on my trigger control. And then some, 14-year-old kid's like, you must be a big freaking idiot. You can't even pick and pull a trigger after that long. And I'm thinking, well, yeah, you have no idea the finesse that goes into actually, pulling a trigger properly.
Yeah, and that's one of the beauties of the hobby, of the whole thing. Yes, people can have their view of things saying guns are bad, guns are blah blah blah. They can have that view, but in all respect to everyone, it is technically a sport too. You're having to always practice, you're always having to work at doing different things. And if you're doing competition shooting, you can really get into really some interesting scenarios doing basically just trigger shooting.
Oh yeah.
But as far as like shooting, like what all guns do you have? I'm just wondering.
Me?
Yeah.
AR-15, Remington 870, Smith & Wesson M&P 9mm, and I used to have a 1911, and I don't have it anymore. I'm sad. I miss that gun a lot. I love that gun.
Yeah, you're blowing me out of the water because I don't do a ton of shooting, but it was just recently. It was probably within the past 2 years I got into real still shooting. I went to we have like a shotgun type camp, and we do a bunch of shotgun shooting, and they had a rifle shooting course, so I ended up switching from shotgun to rifle because everyone wants to do the shotgun. So I went into rifle because, one, I knew the kid that was helping doing the instruction, and it actually turned out to be a really good course and everything, and literally within the week that I came back home after the whole entire camp, I went and bought myself a 22 because it was just so fun to shoot them. And 22s you can shoot just for days, and you won't.
Let me just, because I don't know, but is it a Ruger 10/22?
No.
Oh,
why?
I love that gun.
And I will say this. I posted something up on my blog about that. I've always wanted I've always wanted like a 22 or something, and after that camp I was like, I'm determined to get a 22. And then on top of that, the year before, my grandfather, apparently we've had a gun that's been in the family for a while. It's been passed down, but my dad didn't take it from his grandfather, so and he left it with my grandfather, and he just left it with him instead of my dad keeping it. So then recently, I think it was last Christmas or the Christmas before, they gave it to me, and it turned out to be, it's really rare. It's technically, I think they said it's a 32. It's kind of hard to get a hold of the caliber now, apparently. But I can't really shoot it because it's technically an antique and it's worth a lot, and but it's not in technically shooting condition. But it could shoot if it needed to. But it's a lever action. It's an old military lever action. But after that, I got that, and I've really wanted a 22. I looked at the Ruger 10/22s. They were really nice. The only thing I didn't like about them was just how fat the grip is. It is
very wide.
It has a very wide grip, and I have really big hands, and that's not a big deal to me. But when it came down to it, I'm the same way for everything. It's functionality over features. And so I kept on researching it. I researched it and researched it. And it came out to be, there's a 22 made by Remington. And I don't remember the name of it. There's a 22 made by Ruger, and then there's a 22 made by Marlin. Now, the Remington isn't that good. The biggest flaw of it is their magazine. The magazine just isn't that good of a magazine, and it jams and messes up all the time. But Ruger 10/22 is better. It has a really long, high-capacity magazine and everything else, which I was really just completely blown away by, and I was really wanting to get one. But then, I saw the price of the Ruger 10/22. It's a little high. And then I saw the Marlin. The Marlin has, the magazines are some of the best factory-made magazines besides the Ruger. They're just really good magazines. The only thing is they don't have a high-capacity magazine that's reliable yet. Marlin hasn't produced one yet. and it has a smaller grip than the Ruger 1022, but the stock is a little bit smaller, so it is a little small to me because I'm 6'3", 250 pounds, give or take 20 pounds maybe. Depending on the sports season I'm in, it'll depend on how much I weigh. But that gun feels really small to me. But I looked into it. There's aftermarket stocks for it, but it doesn't have the same aftermarket as, say, the Ruger 1022, where you can put a bull barrel and all this other stuff onto it. So, but out of the box, the Ruger 1022 is just decent, to say the least. But the Marlin is just out of the box is one of the best shooting 1022s on the market. And there's people that have reported close to 400 yards with a 22, which is pretty good out of the box if you clean it and everything.
Right.
They're saying they're pushing close to like 375, 400, which is really good with a 22. Now, with the Rugers, if you put a bull barrel on it, better stock and everything, yeah, you can hit 500 yards no problem. But it's just the Marlin just seemed to be a better gun, and that's what I wanted. So, and also
I've had both of them, and
is it the semi-automatic Marlin?
Yeah, semi-automatic Marlin. I had a great Marlin. I had no problems with it, but I know more that people have a hit or miss thing with the semi-automatic Marlin.
Was it
where they either get a good one or they get one they have to clean it all the time to keep it running?
Was it the Marlin 60 or the Marlin 795?
Oh man, I don't remember. It's been a while back.
If it's the magazine fed one, then it's the 795.
It was magazine fed, yeah.
Okay, then that was probably it. But I looked into them, and I mean, just about everyone said that the Marlin 60 is the one that's tube fed. You can go forever and just not clean it.
Yeah, and those also, but that was a long time ago.
Yeah, I mean, these are guns, and I've never even heard of them. But then when I got this lever action from my grandfather, I looked at it. It was Marlin, so I was like, well...
I have a call from God's Airsofter here.
Oh, okay. You want to add him on?
Here, let's see if I can... Oh, it's not working.
If it's not working, don't worry about it.
Where is he at? He's still right here.
But yeah, like as far as real steel, I mainly shoot 22s. I'd love to get some bigger calibers in the future, hopefully. But I haven't had a lot of experience with real steel yet. I would love to get into pistol shooting though. That would be one thing I would love to do.
I love shooting pistols, and there's a pistol range right near my house where they make Winchester ammo.
Huh.
And it's really cheap to shoot there. You just buy the ammo basically, and you don't have to pay any range fees or anything. And there's a bunch of really good old guys there who are very opinionated. I love arguing with them. Because me, when I'm shooting pistol, I'm ex-Navy, and when I was in the Navy, we did all these, tactical doohickey programs or whatever. But if you hit the 8-inch plate, you hit it. If you missed it, you missed it. So to me, I'm going for combat effectiveness. Did I hit it or not?
You're not going for the precision.
I'm not going for that precision. My wife, on the other hand, she's totally precision. And one day I'm at the range, and I'm like doing these drills where I put very few rounds in the mag, so I have to change mags rapidly, and I put snap caps in the mag, so I misfeed my gun and just cause all kinds of problems just to keep myself current. So if something goes wrong, I just instinctively clear the weapon.
Yeah, just always be prepared for anything.
And one day I was doing it, the guy's like looking at me because he's like, the M&P, an awesome gun. That Smith & Wesson, just fabulous.
Yeah.
And the guy comes out and he's like looking at me like, what the heck is wrong with your gun? You need to take that in or something. And then he comes out of the booth and he's like, I have never seen an M&P jam out here, much less jam 4 times. And I opened up my hand and I had all the snap caps in there. And he's like, okay, that makes more sense. One of the other old guys who's a much better shot than I will ever be. And he's in his 80s. he's a precision shooter, and he's got a tricked out 1911 that thing is amazing. I've shot it a few times. It's just a piece of art, a functional art. Gun is, and the trigger work on this thing is just amazing. But he's like, "Oh, you're just making noise over there. You can't be learning anything as fast as I was shooting." and I took him over the target, and I'm like, "Well, I'm only 7 yards. You know, normally you're 25 yards to that, but there was a 7-yard target set up, and I was, putting the rounds through the thing, and I went 3 magazines really quickly." And he's like, "You're just making noise over there. You're not going to learn anything." And then he comes over, and I'm like, "Well, look at my target." And they're all within the 8-inch circle, every single round. and he's like, "See, you missed." Because I didn't have it in the little tiny circle. So it's all, his opinion was, I missed, and it's going to affect my belief in myself to be able to hit the target. And I'm thinking the whole time that I hit every one of them because it's a combat effective round.
Yeah.
I was actually shooting faster than I would shoot comfortably. I was myself to fire as soon as that sight picture came back in. And that way, when I did slow down a little bit, I'm still shooting fairly quickly. But then when I do slow down just a little bit more, then I could put those in a 4-inch circle, very rapidly. And
like
that's a stress fire exercise.
The way I've been taught pretty much is just mainly the way I've been taught is to get your groupings as small as possible, just to show that you are a very, you're always hitting a constant place on the target. And then from there you can always sight in the target or sight in the gun to your target. And I've always been taught to try to aim for the bullseye, and then once you do that and you get good groupings, then you can go from there and basically just tweak in all your different dials and everything and get it to where you're shooting a very good 2-inch size grouping.
Right.
But like you're saying, that is true with an 8-inch target. You're shooting for combat effectiveness. You're not shooting for precision. Now, I will say I've met some of the older shooters and stuff, and they're mainly doing it just to give them something to do. And I see why they're doing that then, because I mean, every day you can only get better at shooting. You can never get, well, you could get worse, but
you train improperly, you could get worse.
Yeah, but you can only get better if you go out and shoot every day.
Right.
Yeah, if you're shooting an 8-inch target, then next day you shoot a 4-inch target, or like maybe it's weeks or months before you actually move up to something different. Some of these older guys are shooting 2-inch targets and just nailing them, and just have this the target's pretty much gone. I mean, I've seen some of these older guys just drill quarters at insanely crazy ranges. So I mean, it just all comes down to what you're trying to do. Like you're trained for combat effectiveness. You're not trained for let me get a grouping the size of a dime.
Right. My method is I do different things all the time. So I go to the range once a week, and I'll shoot precision one time. I'll do failure drills. I'll do magazine change things. I'll sometimes, and it affects my precision, but I'll try to shoot precision, but I'll focus on one thing. Like, how's my left thumb pointed? Where is it pointed? Is it consistent? Am I sure against the side of the frame? I'm always focus on one thing. And when you focus on one thing, you're gonna lose something somewhere else. But you're training that one. You're ingraining that motor muscle into your brain, so that when you do get into a situation where you have to pull the gun, it's going to be automatic. Like when I was in the Navy, we trained just constantly. But when the shit hit the fan, you just did it. You didn't think. You just did.
Yeah, because your training kicked in.
Yeah.
And this is something that have you watched any of the Magpul Dynamics videos or know anything about them? It's kind of like what I think it was Travis Haley that said it. Professionals don't train to get it right; they train until they get it wrong.
Right.
And
a great line.
That is pretty true, because I've never seen someone sit there and go, "Oh, I'm hitting 2-inch size targets. Let me keep doing it." They're sitting there going, "Okay, if I put, like you were doing, put snap caps in, then if I shoot 5 rounds, snap cap, and you're just having jams, misfeeds, problems, then you're training until you get it wrong. And that's when you figure out what you did wrong and perfect it. And that's just kind of one of the things of real still shooting.
I've working with some people out at the range before, and I tell them they're anticipating, they're thinking the gun's going to go off, and they're counteracting that subconsciously, and it's causing them to have this up and down, from the center of the target down. All their rounds are in a line basically, and they're like, "No, I'm not." So I load. He was shooting a revolver, and I loaded it for him, and I left a few out. And when it goes click and the gun drops down, he went, "Ouch! I did that." So, doing different things, not doing the same thing every time. And the cheapest way to practice is to clear the gun, make sure it's clear, no ammo in the same room that you're in. And what I like to do is put a laser on the gun if you got the capability. It doesn't have to be anything fancy, but put the laser so it's aiming high. And then get your sights on a spot on the wall, like put a little piece of tape there, or a dot or something, and just squeeze that trigger until the round breaks. And then, rack it and do it again and do it again and do it again. And you will know when you're screwing up, because every once in a while those sights will just dance around a little bit and that laser will make a little pattern on the wall. But when you're dialed in and everything's perfect, the dot doesn't move at all. The laser's completely there. And when I do that on a daily basis, which I haven't been doing lately, so if you're going to break into my house, it's a good time. But normally, if I do, like in the summer, mostly when I'm shooting more, I will shoot a lot better if I practice that every day. And then the day before I go to the range, I just won't do anything. And then the days I go to the range, I'm spot on. But if I, give it 2 weeks and I don't do anything because I'm busy and, life happens, then I can definitely see a difference in mostly my precision more than anything. That's the first thing that goes. And in a combat situation, if somebody's trying to kill you, you're not going to be calm at all.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to kick in to where you're going to be shaking, you're going to be freaked out, you're going to be jumpy, you're going to be, you have to account for all that.
We would run, we had, we would out around and 150 out, and then you fire and you run out to the fire again from station to station. You don't run with the gun. They have them at the stations. You just grab them out of the hands.
Yeah.
But it's supposed to simulate that adrenaline coming through your body, because it's a lot harder to shoot when you're out of breath and you just got to a station and you don't know what you're going to do.
Yeah.
Shoot. Weak hand, strong hand, find a barrier, one hand on the barrier, whatever that they threw at you at the time. So.
Well, I want to go ahead and make a kind of terribly awkward transition, but I wanted to ask you guys, what are your thoughts about the KWA KRISS? I don't want to pull a John here. Say KWA wrong. I can't say it right.
KWA KISS.
Yeah, what are your thoughts about the KWA KRISS?
Well, the KRISS is a fantastic gun, the real steel version. The KWA KWA makes good products, especially their gas products.
Yeah.
And there's no reason that this wouldn't be anything less. I think if I was going to buy a gas gun, it would either be an LM4 or more likely the KRISS. If I had more of a CQ environment around here, I would buy a KRISS.
Like, as of just, like, and this is kind of just my perspective, but I've also seen it from a few other people. You'll have, just recently, they canceled the pre-orders, or they moved the pre-orders back some more. Originally it was supposed to come out, was it early? It was in May of this year, I think it was. And then, then they moved it back to now, and it was supposed to come out, sometime later in November. And, apparently just this week or last week, they moved it all the way to, January or February, I think. So, and it's kind of the same thing that happened with the LM4. I was really pumped to get the LM4, but then I got in GOP walk, but I still kept my eye on the LM4 because I was really interested in getting one. But it was just, it kept on getting pushed back. They kept on trying to quote unquote perfect it. And then, it finally came out and it wasn't everything that it was hyped up to be. I mean, yes, it's a good gas gun, but there are other gas guns on the market that are just as good, if not better, that can be upgraded easier and to be more reliable. So I just think it could end up being a repeat of what the LM4 was. Is the KRISS gets so hyped up that it just isn't what everyone thinks it's going to be.
It's like a movie that everybody wants to see. It's like Prometheus.
It's like a Transformers movie. You watch the trailer and you sit there and go, ooh, explosions and like all this other stuff, and then you go see the movie and you're like, ugh, this is bad.
Oh, Michael Bay can't direct actors. Wow.
Wow, shocker. But I mean, and also too, like just recently, I'm not sure if anyone else is subscribed to him, but his name's Levian, I think it is. It's like Levian. He did a bunch of videos on the GMP walks. He's a huge Western Arms and Inokatsu platform guy. He does a bunch of stuff with that. He met Gunny and had Gunny shoot his GMP walk 2-3 years ago, and he posted it up on YouTube. But he's really big on gas blowback, so he can kind of tell you, yes, this is bad, this is good. And he posted a video up recently of when KWA was was in SoCal, doing a bunch of field meets. They're going to all these different fields and showing off the KRISS. And they're showing off the KRISS, and people were actually asking questions, which was something I really like, is instead of them just sitting there filming it and someone just saying, okay, this is this, this is this, this is this, I'd rather have someone ask questions because then it answers my questions. And he asked a few questions that were really surprising that KWA didn't know. He asked, what's the hop-up going to be? And they told him, they said, we don't have a hop-up yet, we're still perfecting that. And that's something I want to see already on the gun. If you're shooting it, I want to be able to see it shoot a BB and see the distance, the accuracy, and everything else. That's something I want to see from them. And then he also asked, is it going to be a steel bolt carrier group? And that was something they wouldn't even answer. They said, sorry, we can't answer that. That's still in prototype platform. Well, the thing is, they've been on pre-order for a while now, as of the date for November. And if they don't even have that stuff together, and then they move it, the pre-order, it's like, I want to go ahead and... I mean, no, they're trying to perfect these things, but I'd rather just have them not put a pre-order out and go ahead and perfect it and then put a pre-order out. Right. I'd rather have it anticipated for 3 years and then have it finally come out than having us basically chase a bone on a string for a year and a half and then finally get it and be like, oh, this isn't even anything that was close to what was it supposed to be. Mm-hmm. It's just I don't know
that they're perfecting it also, but they're trying to get, it's a business. They're trying to get sales, so They want that hype. But at some point, if you hype it too early, people are going to have, it's like the sugar rush. Oh, I really, really want it, and then just.
Yeah, and that's what happened with me on the LM4. I had money. I was right there, like, here's my money, take it. And then by the time it finally came out, I was like, well, I don't have money anymore, and I don't really want it anymore. It's not what it was supposed to be. So it wasn't interesting to me at all. The KWA KRISS is interesting in a sense that they've incorporated all the real steel stuff. They've incorporated the bullet check or whatever it's called, and they also, and I don't know if this is actually a good thing or a bad thing, but they incorporated the Surefire kit for it, which is great and all, but also too, you got to think about it. Not all airsofters, just because they can afford a KRISS, doesn't mean they can afford the Surefire kit for it.
Yeah.
And this is kind of going back to some of the other topics we've talked about before, having stuff made in the USA. Because of that, you're going to have the Chinese ACM manufacturers just pumping out Surefire clones of the KWA kit, or the KRISS kit. So it's just going to promote more ACM, I guess, in a sense.
Mm-hmm.
Which, and Will, do you want to go ahead and get on this? What's your thoughts of the KRISS?
It looks really cool to me. I think it's a great gun. It's definitely going to be something a lot different than all the different guns that are already out there. It's not an M4, G36, everything's standard out there. It's something different, which is good.
I'm interested to see how it does in sales compared to the MP7.
Yeah.
That's what I'm interested to see.
Yeah, it's different
I know
platforms.
for me personally, with the fields that we have around here, a gas gun doesn't really make a whole lot of sense. Most of the time.
Because you're up north, so I mean, it's a lot cooler.
It gets cold in the winter. In the summer, it's wicked hot,
Yeah.
But, I love playing in the winter more than the summer. But, there's a few ops that I'm working on that are gas only. And for that, it would be amazing. But for the most part, unless I just had an extra, $500 laying around, which I don't, because I'd end up buying a camera or something. I would love to have a gas gun, but in reality, when it comes to purchasing something, I go, I really want to try out that. I'm going to buy an AG.
Yeah, and I've kind of switched to that mindset too. I mean, it all comes down to one, price and how much money consumers have at the time. Because I mean, the economy's not incredibly great right now. I mean, it's a little better, but it's nothing special. So I mean, putting a $300 gun out isn't necessarily going to sell as much. But one thing I do want to see them do is drop the FPS. It's supposed to be, it's right now the prototype or the shooting prototype they have it at is at 400 FPS.
Yeah.
So if anyone from KWA is listening to this, drop the FPS to like 350 or something.
They're going to have a 400 version, and then, like they did with the MP9, MP7 has a new bolt carrier that you drop in there.
Yeah, the CQB bolt. I mean, they either need to do that or not Red Wolf, but who's the company that makes the gas gun nozzles?
No idea.
I can't remember who they are.
I'm drawing a blank, but I know what you're talking about, yeah.
Yeah, you know what I'm talking about. They need to just start pumping those things out as soon as they can get specs, because, I mean, 400 for a gun that's about, a foot long maybe? You're going to be pushing it. I mean, not many fields are going to let you in with that, especially in California with FPS limits being strictly 350.
That's
some
almost
places
anywhere, though, for CQB.
Well, some places over here, like on the East Coast.
That's different.
Well, no, East Coast. So there's places on the East Coast, they have 400 FPS CQB. I mean, it's just...
Okay, well, that's rare, though, but usually, like here, 400 is field for regular AEGs, and then 350 CQB.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying, though.
Good.
That's what I'm saying, though. They need... Yeah, and I agree with that.
Industry standards around 350 for CQB.
Yeah,
although when I do CQB, I actually have my gun set up at 280 FPS.
Yeah, and I wish guns would be shooting. Yeah, I mean, you're shooting,
so high.
Yeah, I mean, and there's always going to be that one person that wants to just push as much pain out of his gun as possible, and I mean, I can understand that, but in a sense, I would rather see CQB at like 350 and under. Well, it already is 350 and under, but maybe like 300. Like 300 be more the standard, but 300 be like the limit.
Yeah. Around here, 300, you could do 350 at semi-automatic. And if you're under 300, you can go full auto, but small bursts, short 3 to 5 rounds or whatever.
Yeah, just don't be that guy.
I don't shoot my AEGs in semi-automatic hardly ever. I'll shoot them semi-automatically in full auto.
Yeah. I mean,
it's a lot easier on the gearbox.
Yeah, well, and also, too, just being in full auto, it allows you to just, instead of having to move that selector switch so much, you're just able to click it, leave it on auto, and you can just kind of do your own thing.
Yeah.
But I mean, I don't know. The KRISS is going to be interesting. I'm going to be very surprised if it sells as much as it's anticipated to. But if it does good, then good for it. But I just don't. I'm not really that incredibly interested in it. I'm just if one comes across my forum for cheap, then yeah, I'll buy it and give it a shot. But it's just not something I'm just out of this world about to fall out of a chair for. It's nothing really that interesting to me.
I think it could appeal to the real steel market though a lot.
Yeah, that's true.
Because of
if there's someone that
the KRISS is really popular real steel.
Yeah, I mean if there's someone that already has like the real one and they're like, "Oh, well, I want to go actually shoot my buddies with it in airsoft," then yeah, go get the KWA.
There's a lot of people out there with AR-15s. And if you want to train that LM4 or the WOG or something like that.
Yeah, and that's one reason the gas blowback market is getting a lot more popular. We used to be we just kind of started coming up, got really big as of probably the past 5 years maybe, but before it was Inokatsu, the classic designs, guns like that, and then the WA platform. Now you got the GMPs and you got the WEs, and then you'll probably have some more coming out. I mean, you have GHK coming out with the AEG drop-in, or the gas blowback rifle drop-in for AEG bodies. So I think it'll be interesting to see what the market's like in maybe 2 years and see how everything's doing, what companies are still surviving. My prediction is I don't think Classic Army's going to be around for much longer.
Not for long. I think G&G is going to be around for a while. KW is going to be around for a while. JG is probably going to be around for a while. But I think Classic Army is going to go out. And TM is probably going to go totally out soon.
No, I think TM's still going to be there's going to be a market for TM, but it's because mainly the way I see it is there's that middle market, and if you're not doing something for that middle market just right, you're not going to make it. It's going to be the small guys, G&G with their combat series, and or something that's more affordable, as well as JG and Sima making their AKs and stuff. But you're going to have to... That middle market is what's going to be the hardest thing that's going to fall out, and Classic Army kind of falls into that middle market. They're not really high-end, but they're kind of in the middle.
Yeah.
Yeah, because the way I see it, I mean, if you ask anyone, or just about anyone, they're going to tell you, Classic Army's not that great. I mean, okay, woohoo, you have a SR-25, well, great. Well, I can go get the A and K version. It's kind of the same thing, but, I mean, most people are going to strip out the guts of it and just redo the gearbox anyway, so why pay an extra $100 to get the Classic Army when you get the A and K or something?
When I first started playing Airsoft, JG was just the biggest piece of crap on the face of the planet.
Yeah, and they've gotten...
But I think they have some really good, reasonably priced guns.
Yeah,
and Echo 1, I like Echo 1 guns. But I have to admit, they're like Micro Ninja. Alex, my son, he's got a couple of Echo 1s, and he has one that has outlasted every other gun that we've ever owned. The thing, and he shoots it daily.
Yeah.
He's always out in the yard just shooting stuff, and the thing is running and running and running. And we fixed it a couple of times, but it was a bucking and a nozzle or something like that. But his new one, we had to fix it right out of the box. So
yeah, and that's one thing I'll say too is JG, I've had people tell me countless times, if you're looking for a beginner gun, get a JG, take it to a tech, or do it yourself if you want to learn how, go and shim the gearbox, re-grease it, and you won't have to touch it for quite a long time. I mean, those gearboxes are very good, and their gears, I've seen, I know Schwell does it, and a few other techs do it too, but they'll take JG gears, and they'll use JG gears because they're so well made for the price.
Yeah,
I'm not saying they're the best, but they are well made for the price. But I will say one thing though. I think as far as like companies that are still coming up and are probably going to do good, I think King Arms is going to do really good.
That's what I'm using right now almost every time I play.
King Arms is really, because I know they have a $199 beginner M4.
Mm-hmm. It's supposed to be really good.
Yeah, it's full metal. It's great out of the box. It's got a beefy gearbox. I mean, I would take one of those things over a combat machine any day of the week. They're just made a lot better for the money.
Newer combat machines are a lot better than the one I got, the earlier one.
Yeah, the newer ones
were just junk.
Yeah, the newer ones they've addressed the motor problem as well as I think it was the piston.
They're hop up a little better now.
Yeah, I mean they beefed up everything, but as far as all around quality, if you're wanting a full metal gun that's cheap and beginner, go for King Arms.
Yeah.
But the combat machine's good for what it is. I just don't see combat machines going anywhere in the future. I just think they're going to stay where they are. They're going to be the beginner of the market. They're not going to go up.
I agree.
They're going to be that gun that all beginners are going to lean to, and I just think that's where they're going to be most of the time.
Now, I have the SIG 556 King Arms, which is a cyber gun licensed.
Yeah.
And it is the best shooting gun out of the box that I've ever owned. And I've owned a lot of guns.
Huh.
It's got range. The thing is fantastic.
That's all I've heard.
I have nothing bad to say about this gun. I mean, there's a few, like, ergonomic-wise, because I'm used to an AR-type gun where the grip's a little fat, and I do tend to bump the safety out in between full auto and semi with my right hand because it's ambi. And then when you're doing the mag, I have to change my grip a little bit to hit the mag release because it's a little farther forward than the normal.
Which also, too, King Arms has some pretty good trademarks, too.
Yeah.
I'll give them that. I mean, for a fully trademarked gun that's full metal, that's a good deal. I mean, I gotta give it to them. But I will ask you. We asked this to KRISS last show. What's your opinion on the whole trademarks? The whole trademarks being one being extra or one being banned, like the LaRue rails and stuff. They don't even like Airsoft being part of their name.
I like LaRue real steel, but I won't buy one because of their attitude towards Airsoft.
Yeah.
As far as H&K, I understand why they're suing. I think they're a little aggressive sometimes, but I don't really have a problem with it as long as they're out there saying, yes, you can license our products. I don't really have an issue with them, getting money for a thing that I think they own, intellectual rights to that design. Now,
which then you also have like FN Arsenal coming in after how many years have A&K made their M249?
Yeah.
They're coming in and making they're like completely banning the M249, and then the biggest slap in the face to all airsofters, giving the rights to Classic Army. Yeah. It's like, really?
This is the one thing I don't like about the licensing thing is that I would like to see a license I would like to see an entity that's a licensing platform like one of the middlemen like Cybergun. I would like them to be, all right, here's the license. Anyone can build this gun to these specs so that you have competition still. What I don't want to see, and I know why it's coming around now, is because, in the last 10 years, Airsoft has been kind of like the bastard child sport. It wasn't a lot of money there, and then suddenly people are like, wow, this is getting really popular. There's money to be had here.
Yeah.
So they let it slide for a while until a market was there, but now they want their slice of the pie.
Well, I mean, and I understand that. I mean, like, take Glock, for instance. Yeah, I know. We all know Glock has not been very good to the airsoft community. But when you think about it, when the KWA clocks came out, when those were out on the market, everyone and their mother had one of those things. I mean, everyone. So imagine Glock stepping in, going, "Hey, we will give you the rights to our trademarks to put on your guns, and you will sell more because you have the trademarks." The thing is, no one else is going to have the trademarks, and then on top of that, at the time, only, I think, SIMA and TM were the only ones with their Glocks out at the time, and those were AEGs. So, and, well, you may have the TM Glock at that point, which is the gas Glock, but, I mean, even then, you're giving your trademark and licensing to KWA. Yeah, you may have paid $10 more, or $10 or $15 more for the trademarks, but there's no other gun on the market like it, so there's nothing to compare to. It's not like now where if you go and buy the KJW 226, if you go and pay $15 or $20 more, you'll get the trademark one from Cybergun. There's not really a comparison now. It's just, if Glock would have trademarked with KWA, it would just been, you pay $140, you get a gun. It's not, you pay $15 more. It's just, you pay that and you get the trademarks.
I have a really issue with Glock, a personal thing, because of some of the stuff that they're doing. Yes, they own the rights to that look of that gun. They refuse to license it to anyone, right? Blanket policy. We don't. Their statement that I read was, we don't want another company making us look bad, right?
Yeah, and I can understand that.
But what happened is they're so protective of their own image that
they make themselves look bad.
Really bad, because it's not just airsoft. Yeah, I like playing airsoft, whatever. But KWA over and over was trying to come out with what is now the ATP, and they got sued over and over by Glock because they don't want it to look like, even the ATP, which looks nothing like the Glock. There's like two little portions of it that look Glock-esh. And they still sued over it. Glock sued other companies for making blue guns that look like Glocks. And
yeah, just the little training guns.
And the ATP and the old KWA G series were used by police departments to train their officers so that when they go out in the streets, they know what the heck they're doing, so they're not putting other people at risk and themselves at risk. And Glock is making money selling guns to those police officers. And that company is more worried about their little, protecting the image of their company than they're worried about the people, their customers, that are using their guns on a daily basis to protect others and themselves. Unfreaking acceptable. That's why I will not buy a Glock. I won't do it.
Well, and also, go ahead.
I'm done. I had a rant.
Oh, okay. Well, I was just gonna say, I mean, like, I would, and also too, by allowing it into the airsoft market, all you're doing is expanding your customer base. I mean, when I first got into airsoft, I didn't even know about Glocks. I didn't know about any of the guns that I know about now. I can name off Real Steel because I've looked into them, and I didn't even know about the KRISS until KWA started making one. I didn't even know about it. Now that I know about it, I started researching the real one, looking into it. Just, I like to research these guns. And if Glock would have done that, you have instant, 5,000 plus maybe 20,000 or more airsofters that are now Glock fans because they're like, ooh, this feels good. This feels good in the hand. Or, because like, if they're like me and they're a lefty, Glocks are amazing for lefties.
Yeah, they're worried about it looking bad. So basically what they're saying is airsofters are idiots and they can't tell the difference between one of the replicas that they're using and the real steel. Yeah,
and
if I get a replica of a Glock, one's good, yeah, a KWA one I still have old KWA, and I might have some other junky brand that breaks. I'm not going to think, well, Glock sucks because this junky brand replica broke on me. I mean,
Yeah.
we're airsofters. We're a little smarter than that.
I mean, it just to make a good analogy here, that's the equivalent of some kid playing like Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 and thinking all Glocks are full auto and you can only dual wield them and all this other stuff.
Yeah.
It's all about perception, and I just think Glock is just really, I don't know. And LaRue's the same way. I don't want to just get all over LaRue because I like LaRue, but as a company, they really screw up when it comes to they put a really sour taste in your mouth.
Yeah.
I mean, I've read stuff on Airsoft forums where there's guys that are actually in Texas that will actually buy stuff for their guns, and they'll go into the shop and everything and ask if they can get a barrel rethreaded to a certain thread. They'll give it back to them, and while they're talking and everything, the owner will overhear them saying something about airsoft or something. The owner will literally give them back a barrel nut that's not the thread that they wanted and say, "We don't want your service," or something like that.
Yeah.
And that's something.
The same thing.
Yeah, and it's just like, why'd you do? I mean, if you think about it, if LaRue, because I mean, there's no telling how many LaRue counterfeit ACM rails that are out there. If you can just imagine if they went like the Mad Bull route and put and went and licensed everything,
right,
they would be making just a ton of money, because also too, on top of that, you have rails that are going to be used for training purposes. So if someone has, say, like the SBRS rail, the gooseneck rail that's becoming a little bit popular, if they have that rail that's on their AR, but they want to go play airsoft and still have that the feel of their actual real AR, then they can go do that. But because of that, they're having to go buy something from overseas, buy something from a Chinese factory that could be licensed in America or something like that. It's not very smart on their part. Yes, I realize their rails are like $300, which isn't bad for a real steel rail, but it's still not smart on their part to do something like that.
When Mad Bull builds like Daniel Defense, I'm a huge Daniel Defense fan, big time.
Yeah, I'm a huge fanboy of Daniel Defense.
But when, if you buy, we have a Daniel Defense rail. If you hold it up against, hold it up against the real steel rail, the spacing is different on the airsoft version than it is on the real steel. And you'll find occasionally some equipment won't go on an airsoft version.
Yeah.
But they had to change that up as part of the licensing agreement, I'm sure. I'm not
positive. And probably to protect them from getting like a lawsuit from someone that got shot by someone.
Yeah,
I mean,
who knows?
And there's another reason for Glock with the whole trademark thing. I mean, I can understand them going out and not wanting to trademark something because, I mean, yes, it's becoming more and more frequent that this happens, but kids will get a hold of these guns. They'll go out, get shot because a cop mistook it for a real gun, and then up on the news is a picture of a KWA Glock or some type of Glock. And I can understand how that would hurt Glock's image because it would really just deteriorate the image of Glock. But I just think it would be better if they would just release it, allow us to be able to use it, and I don't know.
Now, somebody the other day asked me, I don't know if we have time to go into this, but somebody asked me the other day because I said something about, I think that the orange tip law is misguided. And they wanted me to talk about it more, and there's no way I could get it across in a Facebook comment. But police are there, they're trained to react to action.
Yeah.
They're not going to look at an orange tip and not shoot you if you're aiming at them. I can take my cell phone and just hold it like I'm going to shoot a cop in a dimly lit area. He's going to shoot me.
Yeah, they'll shoot
because the orange tip
it's
is the law. To me, puts police at risk. It puts everybody at risk. The orange tip law does, because now the kid thinks, oh, it has an orange tip. They're gonna.
I'm fine. Yeah.
The cop's gonna shoot somebody who's acting like he's gonna shoot him. when he has an orange tip, and then somebody's gonna try to sue him because they're like, hey, there was an orange tip clearly on here.
And also too, and to add on to that, and someone made this argument too, during SB 798, they're wanting to make guns literally like the color of Skittles, pretty much.
Yeah.
It was going to be neon Skittles, just walking around with all these little Skittle guns. If you think about it, though, and like you said, they're trained to fire on action. So if you're sitting there, and yeah, you have this radiant pink or radiant neon green or something gun, if you reach for your waistband or into your jacket or something, and you pull quick, they're going to fire. It doesn't matter. You can be pulling your wallet out.
Say you do have a neon colored gun, and you aim at a cop.
They're going to shoot you.
They're going to shoot you, or possibly they're going to be human and hesitate. Now, that may be good in some situations, but what if they hesitate because they're human and somebody's out to like shoot a whole bunch of people, and he decides, you know what, I'm gonna paint my gun orange. I can buy a freaking can of spray paint.
Yeah, and that was one of the biggest arguments.
That's supposed to protect us hesitated instead of doing what he needed to do because it's orange and there's all this controversy around it. I say, if you're around a cop and you pretend to act like you're aggressive towards him, you're going to get shot. And
well, I mean, it's the same
fault. They have a hard enough job as it is.
Yeah.
To be dealing with little laws that don't really protect. You know, you can pass a law. Does it really protect the people? Does it achieve the goal that it was written for?
No, and it doesn't. And also too, just to add on to the whole spray paint thing. Yeah, I mean that's exactly, if criminals figure that out, they're like, oh well, they banned this. They banned guns being orange tip. You have to paint them completely pink. Well, guess what? They'll go paint it pink, and next thing you know, on the news, someone's out there going, someone's going to be out there. It's going to be on some news source saying there's a guy with an airsoft gun in the mall shooting people. But then the thing is, they're saying airsoft gun, so one, it makes airsoft look bad, and then two, it's not actually an airsoft gun. It's a real gun.
Yeah.
So you run into that problem too. And as far as
about the whole thing,
and
if you have a replica gun, then it is your responsibility to treat it respectfully and to have it only in areas that it makes sense. At airsoft places, out in the woods somewhere away from the general public that don't understand airsoft. I think a lot of these laws aren't really intended to make us safer. I think a lot of these airsoft laws are intended to try to kill the sport of airsoft because they see it as a bunch of kids doing something that they don't understand. They think airsoft is like, I want to be a killer, you know? And it has nothing to do with that. For me,
I mean, that's the same argument that some people have as if you play Call of Duty, you're going to be a mass murderer. It's kind of the same concept, is you're putting a gun in a kid's hands, but the thing is, you have to keep in mind, yes, you're putting a gun in kids' hands, but the person that's putting the gun in the kid's hands, are they the responsible person to show them how to actually properly handle a gun?
Yeah.
That's what you have to think of. Because, I mean, if you hand a kid and say, hey, go shoot squirrels and just let them loose, yeah, they're gonna. Something bad's gonna happen. But if you show them proper trigger technique and everything, it's better.
Here, I got a kid that knows how to handle it.
What?
Come here. This is Micro Ninja. Say hi.
Hi.
Hi, world.
Hey, Micro Ninja.
Hey, Micro Ninja.
They're saying hi.
Oh, man,
They're listening here. So, do you have anything to add to Glock? Do you like Glocks?
I like them, but...
But what?
They're just... selfish.
Yeah. I'd go with that. All right, we're probably over our hour.
Yeah, we're hitting about an hour and 20. So that will pretty much conclude this episode of the Airsoft Podcast.
And trust me, we know to make it shorter.
Yeah, we're trying to make it shorter. But if we get on topics like this and we want to keep going for longer, I know, we'll try to get it shorter.
I guess.
Yeah, you're just gonna have to deal with this. This is all just for fun and games. But we will try to get the show shorter. Like we've said on our Facebook page, we're not trying to be super professional. It's just a bunch of YouTubers getting together, talking, hanging out, and talking about topics that we want to talk about. So, follow us on Facebook. We are on Facebook. Check out the links in the description. If you would like to send us a business inquiry for some odd reason, we don't know why. If you'd like to send us something, please email us. Link will be in the description with all the details and info. And that's about it. So, and also check out Michael from AirsoftGeek and also DIY Camera Guy. Links in the description for him. And I think that's about it. Am I forgetting anything?
I would just have to say, I know I've been neglecting my channels here lately, but my life will be back to normal soon, and I'll be putting a whole bunch of new series out, and we're going to do a bunch of tactical training stuff.
And don't forget Channel Ambush. I put in a... Yeah, I put an entry for that.
That's actually the first thing I'm going to get back to, because a lot of people want to see that.
Okay. Well, thanks for watching, guys, or actually listening. I got it right this time. Thanks for listening, guys, and we will see you on the next episode. You want to say bye, everybody?
Bye.
Good night, John boy.